From the back of the study hall at the DJC Collectibles Studio, I'm Midwest professional wrestling legend Gage Octane. And now, a guy who graduated with a 4.0 GPA from Chase U, Kyle Peterson.
What's up, everybody? Kyle here for the Kyle Peterson Show, episode number 15. And of course, got my co-host with me, as usual, the lady that broke the internet last week.
God.
It is Angie. Angie, say hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Angie. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are
You're
you?
doing good? You know, I'm doing pretty good. I haven't talked to you in a long time. Feels like I haven't seen you in like 5 minutes, maybe something like that.
Yep.
But Angie's a little tired today. She had a long night partying hard, of course. 4th of July, as we're filming this, it's technically the 5th of July right here. A rainy day. Thankfully, the rain held out a day, so we got to see some fireworks, things like that across the board. But we'll get into all that here, Angie, in a second. But first, got to thank DJC Collectibles for sponsoring this video cast, podcast, you name it. Use discount code 8OFFDJC to save 8% off your entire order. Tell them Kyle sent you, and thanks to DJC Collectibles for sponsoring the podcast. And if you want to sponsor the podcast, hit up the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com. And of course, don't forget Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. If you want early access to videos like this, all the videos from my YouTube channel, giveaways, Q&As, you name it. A lot of song and dance over there. And we're still working on an Angie exclusive Patreon episode every month. We're not sure what it could be or what it could be about, but we're working on it. We're workshopping it, as they say. We're workshopping it. Angie, you got any ideas yet of what you'd like to do in your own special video series? Like once a month, you have like a 5-minute video of just you.
Maybe some marital advice.
Marital advice. Oh, we know what that would be. We know what that would be. What would it be?
I don't know.
No, you know what it would be.
Oh my God.
But yeah, maybe in the future, we'll see. But we need like 100 people to request that, though, I think is what you said. 100 people say they want it, then maybe she'll do it. But we'll see what happens there. But Angie, as we're filming this right now, we're just a couple of days away from your exit from the state, from our hearts, and you're headed to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, of course. Angie, you ready for this?
No.
You're not ready. So you got like a couple days still. Now, are you all packed?
Pretty much.
You're packed for the trip. Did you have any struggles in trying to pack?
Yes. You know this.
I do know this.
I had an entire week I had to fit into a carry-on.
And the problem with Angie, or it's a problem in this instance, but not normally a problem. But Angie likes to have different outfits. And what do you like with all these different outfits? Different shoes.
I'm a very coordinated person. So
Yes.
my shoes and purse match, and then my outfit, and I do a different one with every.
Yeah, so she wants to do all that kind of stuff. And I said from the get-go, Angie, you just need to find a pair, like a black or a white pair of sneakers that match with everything, and maybe some flip-flops or something like that. That's what you need. But of course, you get, a carry-on, like a big purse or something, a backpack, and you're going to take the backpack. And then you got a, carry-on you could fit overhead. Now, she could pay the money, of course, to get a big luggage to check and all that. But do you want to go through that whole rigmarole?
I would if other people were, but nobody else that's going is doing it.
Now, I think, and I don't know if you've called your mom or your sister, because that's who you're going on the trip with, but I feel like they're going to have rooms in their bags. I could see your mom just saying, well, I just took one bag. I didn't need it. So you'd have a whole extra bag she could be using to store these shoes.
Bring an extra backpack for her to carry.
Yes, I feel like you could have done something like that. Now, there's still time.
Okay.
I would say reach out to your family and see if you can get that done there. But Angie has no idea what she's doing in Philadelphia. You're just going. Your sister's going on a work trip, so you basically just had to pay for your flight and some meals
tagging
and stuff.
along.
She's just tagging along. She wants to get away from the rat race, the everyday rat race. She wants to get rid of the actual rats in our house, probably the dogs and then the kids and me.
I'm scared what that rat cage is going to look like by the time I get back.
You better clean that thing before you left, because I said when we bought these rats, I said, Angie, you were going to be the one cleaning this. The kids will never clean it. I don't want anything to do with these rats. We shouldn't get them. And Angie, poor Angie, been stuck with these rats forever. They're probably going to be outside rats by the time you get back. You're like, where are those at? Oh, I let them go in the backyard. They're playing back there somewhere, I'm sure.
If it gets really crazy, just put them in that bin thing, the play bin. Playpen?
Playpen? I don't know.
And then you just hose down the whole thing.
We might get desperate for food over here while you're gone. We might end up eating those rats. I don't know what's going to happen. The kids don't like me because, Angie's a sucker. A sucker's born every minute, and Angie's born minutes by minute. But of course, hey, Mom, let's go to Starbucks. Hey, Mom, I want to go to Panera. Hey, Mom, let's go to Raising Cane's. There ain't going to be a lot of that with Dad around. We'll go out one night. I'm going to take the kids to Jurassic Park, I think, while you're gone. They really want to see that Jurassic Park movie, so I'll take them to that. And I don't know what else we'll do. We'll probably go out to dinner somewhere else, but they don't want to hang out with me anyways.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Especially if you're buying them food.
Yeah, exactly. If there's food involved, maybe. But they're going to be sad. I wonder if there's going to be any tears. That's what I'm wondering. Will the kids cry when you leave? Will the kids cry when you get back? Because this is the longest you've ever been away from them in their whole life. And Elle's 14, Emma's 10. And I don't know if we've been apart this long either.
No,
but
I don't think so.
yeah, and Angie, whenever we go, obviously on a trip or we go to Chicago or something, obviously it's all of us. And Angie taking a trip by herself. Now, I go on work trips all the time, so it's kind of old hat for me. That's just usually a couple of days at a time. San Diego is probably the longest I've been away, like 4 or 5 days. But Angie, you're going to be gone how many days?
A full week.
A full week, 7 days. Oh my gosh. Is there enough to do in Philadelphia for 7 days? Probably. And if I went to Philadelphia, I'm a simple man. All I would want to go to Philadelphia for is basically to try the 2 different versions of cheesesteak, real cheese or cheese whiz. And I hope you at least get 1 cheesesteak in you.
I got to.
You got to try at least 1
I'm
cheesesteak.
getting a tummy ache probably.
You could split it with your sisters. Just get one and cut it into thirds or something like that. I don't know, but I would want to do that. I'd like to see a Phillies game. I was a big Phillies guy back in the day. Big fan of Darren Dutch Dalton. You familiar with Darren Dalton?
Mm-mm.
How about Nails, Lenny Dykstra?
No.
No. Mitch Williams?
No.
No, none of these guys
Actually,
ring a
that
bell
kinda
for
does
you?
sound familiar.
But does it? But not a lot I would want to do. But Angie's just along for the ride, so she doesn't even know what she's going to be doing. So it'll be interesting, Angie. You'll have to tell us all about it. We'll be riveted by this trip for sure. I was hoping she'd go to the ECW arena, and she said, "What's an ECW arena?" So I think that's out of the question as well. So we'll see what happens. But Angie's leaving. But of course, Angie, with you leaving, Midwest professional wrestling legend Gage Octane is nice enough to sit in the next episode. So episode 16, Gage Octane's going to be here as a co-host / guest is what he's going to be. And I'm not opposed to having guests on this show, but it works when Angie's gone, or, you know, if you got to also kind of live around me here. And I could do Zoom guests maybe in the future, but that's just not fun. That's just, there's something about being side by side with somebody and having a conversation that, I don't know, feels a little bit more personal, feels a little bit more real. So I guess if anybody's coming through the area, they could do a video, but we'll see what happens there in the future. But Gage Octane will be here. We're going to ask him all the questions about his acting career, his voiceover career, his wrestling career, his toy collecting career, as he is a big Transformers, a big G.I. Joe guy, and of course, all points in between. We can find out about Dory Funk Jr., Harley Race, all points in between once again. So be ready for next week. Of course, Midwest professional wrestling legend Gage Octane, and Angie's going to be riveted to her seat for that as well. It's going to be an all-timer of an episode, I think. Or it'll be the worst episode. We'll see where it goes. We'll have to track the views on that one and see where it goes. But it should be a good time, Angie. But we're going to miss you around here. I'm going to miss you just keeping the day-to-day operations of things going. Now, I can handle the work life for the most part and the little things like taking care of the dogs. I can do that. But when the kids and the rats and the maintaining the house and all that kind of stuff, it could be trouble. So hopefully the house is still here when you get back. Hopefully we're still here. I'll be like, oh, Angie, bad things. We lost 2 rats and 1 daughter along the way. But we still got 1 daughter and 2 rats left. Maybe that'll happen. Who knows? But a wild, wild time. And Angie, we're settling in for episode 15 of the podcast right here. And we got a wild, wild time as well. But I guess we should also mention 4th of July was yesterday. Pretty uneventful, I would say.
Yes.
We cooked some hamburgers. Oh, hamburguesa.
We both wore ourselves out in the morning. I went out and worked, and you went out and mowed, and then we were zapped.
Yeah, that's right.
We were like just chilled downstairs for a little bit.
I got up early to go mow, and it was like 100 degrees yesterday. So I wanted to get out there when it was like 80-some degrees, and I mowed the whole yard, did that whole rigmarole, and it wore me out. You guys know how it is. And then Angie worked a little bit in the morning, and then we got ice cream. That was the highlight of the day for you, probably. Mm-hmm. If she got some baseball nut, and you know, Angie, she's never a stranger to a nut, of course, in her life. Absolutely loves them, especially. We won't go there, but you love the baseball nut for sure, Angie.
That's my favorite.
That is a favorite. And it's a sleeper at Baskin Robbins, and I turned you on to that, of course, didn't I?
Yes.
It's not the only thing I've ever turned you on with, but Angie's turned on by the baseball nut. But I ended up getting a strawberry shake, and it was a little bit subpar. It tasted like milk to me. It didn't taste too strawberry.
And then we saw some fireworks.
And then we saw a little bit of fireworks. And of course, those kids, Angie, I think the days of taking the kids to fireworks are officially over. They were over it. They didn't want to be there from the get-go. They were anti, and they wanted to go home and listen to K-pop is what I think they wanted to do.
Yep. Tell them what happened while we were sitting there parked.
Oh, it was pretty funny. That was the highlight of it. So we were parked. There's like a business complex, and they do it at a big soccer field, and we're just kind of off the beaten path. Got the Wrangler out there, of course, sat there. And what happens right at 10 o'clock when the fireworks are supposed to begin, all the sprinkler systems in the whole complex go over. So you see everybody doing a mad dash. They're with
the chairs in hand.
Their chairs and their blankets they got down, and they're running away from the firework or from the sprinklers. How about long way to get there? They're running away from that. So I thought that was kind of funny. But then the joke was on me. The wind kind of hit and got a little bit of sprayed, so I ended up having to back up away from it.
Yep.
And then the kids said, "Oh, let's go check this out." And then they got absolutely soaked. So then they're chugging along with wet clothes in the Jeep. So it was pretty uneventful besides that. If that's the busiest, craziest thing that happened, I'd say we had a pretty good day for all things considered, if you ask me.
Chill day.
A chill day for the most part there. But it's not going to be a chill episode of episode 15 of the podcast. We got some all-timer of a story and a Tales from Retail that reminded me of something the other day, so we're going to tell that story. Story time with Kyle. We're going back to my college years for a dumb moment that can't believe I'm sharing with everybody here, but I will share that. We got 2 new foods and a drink. A food and a drink we're going to try this week, and we're going to dive into a little Motorhead, and along the way as well, a little Black Sabbath. So stay tuned for all that and much more. Yep.
I didn't plan it.
And she didn't even plan it, but she's here for all the head and the day, all day long. All day long. And Angie, like I mentioned earlier, you broke the internet with some of your pictures over the weekend.
God.
She came down for question of the week straight from the pool, and I said, beautiful. And I posted the picture up there, Angie, and I got to let you know this. It's the most popular picture I've ever posted.
I've gotten a few screenshots from people we know.
No,
I swear to God.
I don't believe it. You'll have to fill me in on that there. But Angie breaking the internet, a lot of people there. And a lot of people saying, and like I said in the video too, I said, people are going to say, oh, you're just bringing your wife out. But she's in all these videos. She's in the podcast too. So it wasn't me. It was Angie. And
honestly, my boobs are always out.
They're always out. They're always out, ready to go. And you know what? We thank you for your service, for sure. That is for sure. We thank you for your service. But Angie, kudos to you. We should make it a 4th of July tradition. You just, a different bathing suit every 4th of July, ready to go straight from the pool.
Love it.
There it is. Angie could be low-rise tops and swimsuits like I do Western wear. It could be that same thing. But Angie, now it's time to go deeper, and you're a big fan of going deeper. We've learned that over the last 15 episodes. It's time for a deeper dive. All right, Angie, it's time for a deeper dive. It's time to go a little bit
You always
deeper.
scare me when you start.
It's time.
It's so loud.
I'm a loud guy. What can I say? And you're loud sometimes too. But it's time for a deeper dive. And today, we're being a little bit more lighthearted than last week. You remember what we talked about last week, Angie? Let's test your memory. What was the deeper dive?
I have no idea.
No idea. It was about survivor's guilt, about surviving, elimination of job positions. A little bit darker one. And I have another darker one I could dive into, but maybe we'll save that 10 episodes down the road. We'll do that for a deeper dive. But now we're going to do a little bit of lightheartedness here in this deeper dive. And this one is very fitting because it kind of ties in. Well, it does fully ties into try new foods this week as well. So it's all about the candy bar, Angie, this week. And you love a bar, you love candy. It's a perfect combination for you, myself included. And I think everybody loves a candy bar, and myself included, you included as well. And today in the deeper dive, we're going to dive into our top 5 candy bars of all time. Now, this is going to be a fun one here. And I wouldn't say either of us eat a ton of candy bars.
No.
It's a once in a lifetime thing is what it is. Once in a lifetime we had a candy bar. But no, I usually, and I'll speak for me and then speak for you next, but I usually get a candy bar when I'm on the road, obviously going to work, and I'm traveling in different states or something. And I usually run into a Walmart or a Target. And I always tell myself, Kyle, if you're thirsty, you want a drink, you want a Monster, you want something like that, or a candy bar, you're only getting it if you find something. I'm not going to let these stores win to me with this impulse stuff where I'm just going to go buy just that. I have to have found a figure or found something I needed there, and then I'm going to buy it with it. And of course, candy bars usually up at the register for the impulse, trying to get people to get it. I'm pretty good. I'm up to those grocery shenanigans. Some may say I've wrote a book on those grocery shenanigans, so I understand how it goes. But only if I'm already buying something will I get something. And that's usually when I buy a candy bar. Just I'm on the road, going store to store, town to town, making towns, of course, as you know. So that's when I'll dive into a candy bar. But what about you? When is you usually?
I don't know,
get a
but
candy bar?
I don't like that technique because when I'm doing your taxes and adding up your receipts, I got to take all the Monsters and candy bars off.
Yeah, you do. That's tough. That is a bad tactic. Yeah, Angie takes care of my receipts for me and stuff like that. So that is tough. Then you got to X all that out. I understand how that could be a pain right there. But what about you when you're
I
getting...
don't really ever go for a savory treat on the road. I always grab a candy bar.
You like a
Like
sweet
I wouldn't
treat.
grab like a bag of chips
No.
or something.
The kids would.
That's weird.
Kids would. But
I
you're
really
all
thought
about
about
that sweet treat, and if it's got nougat in it, you said sign me up. Give me all the nougat you could have. Right? You love nougat. You love it. Anything creamy in there, she loves that too, of course. You like it warm or cold? Who knows? But Angie, we're going to dive into our top 5 candy bars of all time. And of course, it's a ladies first channel around here. You guys know how that goes. It's a ladies first podcast. We bow down to Angie here. And we're going to let Angie start it off. And Angie, we're going to do this. Of course, this is my list. This is Angie's list. So it's 100% right. You're not going to tell me that, Kyle, your number 1 candy bar is wrong. Angie, how dare you have that at number 3? Because it's your list. But if you want to put your list together, put it in the comments down below, or of course, email the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com. Shout out to the email, something like that.
Yeah, leave my list alone.
Leave Angie's list alone. And Angie, we're going to dive into it. 5 candy bars, top 5, work our way from 5 to number 1, number 1 being our favorite candy bar of all time. I'm sure we'll have some crossover here, but Angie, are you ready to go at number 5?
Oh, we're starting at the bottom.
We're going to start at the bottom.
Mine's controversial.
Yeah, you can't, Angie, you can't start a top 5 list at number 1, because if you give number 1 away, then you get to number 5, nobody cares by then. They want that anticipation. They want the build up.
I put 2 things
well,
down.
you can say. You can choose between them and just explain both and just say. Explain yourself.
Okay, so number 5 is very controversial because it's not even really a candy bar.
Okay, I know where this is going.
So I either like York peppermint patties or peanut M&Ms.
Okay, so to me, a York peppermint patty is a candy bar.
Kind of.
It's candy. It's got chocolate. It's everything. The M&Ms is necessarily not a candy bar. It's like it goes into the Skittles and a world of that kind of stuff. But technically, it's sold with candy bars. It's line priced with them. So I could say it counts, and you could go either direction with that one there. So I guess you got a tie for number 5, basically, is what you have right there.
I don't think I've ever bought either of those individually, though.
No.
I always buy them in like a bulk bag or like a seasonal bag of York.
And I am with you on the M&M peanut M&Ms. I don't like the regular M&Ms. I mean, I could eat them if I had to. It's not like I'm going to throw up. I don't think, maybe, but the peanut ones are the way to go. But I've never been one to reach for the M&Ms. But when I was a kid trick-or-treating, and that's where a lot of this candy love comes from, I was never opposed to getting those in there. I always liked the yellow bag over the brown ones or whatever. I was like, oh, yeah, I know I got the peanut ones in here. So that was always a good day. And you like to mix those peanut M&Ms with your popcorn.
I was just going to say that.
She throws that in there, so I know you
got to hit them when it's real warm stuff.
Oh, yeah, just get a little melt
soft.
in there. I know all your tricks.
Peanut butter ones are good like that, too.
Yeah, they're all right. They're all right. I know all your tricks. I know all your tactics. I know all your moves at this point here. But that's your 2, York and M&Ms. And York is a sleeper. I enjoy a York peppermint patty, too. But if you don't like peppermint stuff, you wouldn't like that. But I like that. But you like all that white cream inside of there, as we know, with the peppermint flavor. You're all about that.
I'm a minty chocolate person, so that's also
you love that
controversial.
kind of stuff.
The mint chocolate chip.
I like that too. So now, Angie, we're going to number 5. And I would say out of all the candy bars, this is an interesting list for me here, because number 5 for me could be the most popular candy bar. I should go pull my Nielsen data and find out from IRI and Nielsen to see where this lands. But it's one of the most famous candy bars of all time. It's probably one of the most popular as well. But in a plot twist, if I get a candy bar, this is usually my number 2 go-to in the candy bar, because sometimes it's hard to find some. Candy bars are all over. Like York peppermint patty, you're not going to find that everywhere. This one, I guarantee you're going to find everywhere. What is number 5 for me? It is a Snickers. Of course, once again, give me all the nougat. Get all that nougat in my mouth. But it is the gold standard in a lot of ways.
Nougat and nuts.
Nougat and nuts. That's just playing all the hits for you right there. Just missing the cream for sure. But the Snickers, everybody's had a Snickers. Old Faithful for a lot of times out there. You kind of know what you're going to get. And, Snickers not as good in most candy bars, not as good as they used to be, but still a solid one. Snickers, an easy number 5 for me. But now we turn over to Angie to number 4. Angie, you going to number 4? You ready for this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Score bar.
Score bar, and you score every night. That's true. Angie, now it's interesting. A score bar, maybe not everybody's heard it. It's very similar to a Heath bar. So if you've had a Heath, you've kind of in the mix of a score. Score way better than Heath, though. But very thin candy bar. Can break your teeth off. And I'm curious here. Now, score is one of my all-time favorites as well. It's not on my top 5 list, though. We're going to say that. But a couple years back, it would have been. But they changed the formula a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. But have you ever had a score bar before you met me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know if that was something you picked up along the way.
I think my mom used to like those.
But I loved a good score. And I don't know if it's a regional candy or just a deep gut candy. You know what one of the deepest cut candies are? Is the Zero bar.
Oh.
I see it around from time to time. I have never tried a
I've
zero
never
bar in
tried.
my life.
Maybe we should try
We
that.
should try that. One of those
What is
ones.
it, just covered in white? Like a white chocolate instead
I think so. So you're already good when you got white on there because you love all that, of course. And
I
then you
think
get
it's
some of that
like
nougat.
kind of like a Snickers, but it's got dipped in white.
A reverse Snickers. I don't know. But maybe we'll try that. One of those weeks where we can't find a new food, maybe that'll be one we get there for the old zero. I think Target has them on the check lane. So you're familiar with Target and their check lanes. I know that for sure. We just got the Target bill and I said, is this the mortgage or is this the Target bill? I'm concerned. Which is which right
It's
here?
always more than our mortgage.
Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. It's
It is
unbelievable. Yeah, I always say every month I tell you the same thing.
Oh my
What do I
God.
tell you?
How much money do you think I make?
Yeah, how much money do you think I make? You guys always get confused. You think it's just unlimited funds. Oh my gosh. But Angie, the score is a solid choice, though. I would never turn down a score.
Why is it better than a Heath? Like, what's the difference? Is one like toffee and one something
They're
else?
both the same. I think the chocolate it's like a tighter chocolate. It's not a dark chocolate, but it's like a tighter chocolate. Like where the Heath, it feels like the chocolate is better consistency and better
I feel
quality
like the
on
Heath
the score.
has kind of like a run of drizzle of chocolate too. Like it has like a weird
I don't know. The score
texture on
loses points for being smaller than a Heath bar, but I think the toffee inside is better, and I think the chocolate is a little bit better. So that's just personal preference. Once again,
I've had a score bar forever.
obviously, well, we should change that. If you play your cards right in this podcast, and a little bit later tonight, I'll get you a score.
I might
bar.
get one on the road. I
You
might
might.
score on the road.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we're gonna score driving down the highway. It'll be all right. Won't be the first time, won't be the last time. So now we're going to number 4. And it's strange to me here. My number 4 selection is my number 1 candy bar I purchase on the road. And it's because of the availability on this one. This is on all the planograms, the sets at the Walmarts and Targets that I usually frequent, and the grocery stores. You can always find this one just like the Snickers. And if I was a kid, I liked the Snickers more. But this one moved up over the years. But it is an old reliable. When I can't find some of the other ones, this is the one I go to. For number 4, it's Hersheys bar with almonds. Hershey with almonds, a game changer. Absolutely love it. I love almonds. I have them in my oatmeal every morning. Trying to keep myself regular, of course. But I love a Hershey's with almonds. So good. I like that extra crunch in there, of course. Now, I would never buy a plain Hershey's bar. There's probably one of the last things I would ever buy, but you throw some almonds in there, I'm all in for whatever reason. But
They really need to double up those almonds, though.
I wish. They're always cutting back on something. But if I ever have a regular Hershey's like kicking around the house or in the Halloween candy or something, I always go to the move where I dip them in the peanut butter. And of course, I'm a chunky peanut butter guy, not a creamy. You're a creamy.
You could dip them in the peanut butter and then put a little almond on there.
You could. You can make your homemade one if you wanted to there. But you're a creamy peanut butter. I know for a fact you love it creamy.
You kind of...
You do.
You kind of got me onto the crunchy though, or whatever. Is that
You
what
like-
it's called?
yeah, it's crunchy.
It sounds weird.
I've always been a crunchy guy, and I think it's how you were brought up as a kid. My dad always bought crunchy. I always had crunchy, and I feel like when I get creamy peanut butter, that like I'm being cheaped out on, like it's missing something. Like they're usually the same price, but you get a little bit more for the crunch.
I just had a weird thought. So before we had kids, did we always buy one of each?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
I always
because
have
the
one.
kids eat the creamy now, so now we always get like a bulk like size creamy, and then
I love
small.
the crunchy. I can't believe the kids don't like crunchy. They probably never had it. They've never tried it.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
probably just like a
Crunchy is
texture.
the best, and you know the other good one was that honey roasted crunchy one. I don't know if they still make that.
I think they do.
I don't know why we stopped buying that. That was always
They
pretty
really
good too.
did cut back the set in like the stores.
Yeah.
on that stuff. So it
Peanut
might be
butter
gone.
jelly don't sell like they used to, that's for sure. But Hershey's almond, number 4 for me. And Angie, now we're getting into it. We're getting down to the end here. Now we're going to number 3 for you. What do you got at number 3?
This is also Emma's favorite,
Oh, it is. Okay.
a Caramelo.
Caramelo bar, a deep cut candy bar. You don't see that everywhere anymore. And I believe that used to, now I don't know. I was thinking that was a Ferrero Rocher product now, where it used to be a Hershey's.
I forgot about those.
They make Baby Ruth. They make Butterfinger now. They bought that. They bought into it. So I'm not sure. My memory fades on that one there. But the Caramelo is a solid one there. I always liked that one. Now, when I was a kid, my stepmom loves a good candy bar. And Caramelo was about her favorite. She also loved 100 grand bars, which I'm not a huge 100 grand. I can eat them if I have to. So they're not on my list. Spoiler alert. But she always had caramellos around the house. So I always had those a lot. Oh, man, they are good. That's for sure. But haven't had one in a long
Find the
time.
individual packed ones now.
Yeah.
Lot
Yeah,
better.
very
Lot
good. So you, once again, go into the creamy. You love that filling in the inside, that caramel around your tongue and stuff. I know how you are. I know how you get. So
Dirty girl.
yeah, for sure. But Caramello, number 3, Angie, coming in hot. Any last words about a Caramello?
No, I kind of
No.
want one right now, though.
We'll get you one. We're going to run to the store and you're going to run the gamut. You're going to get all
buy
these.
all 5 of these.
You might as well. We should have had them
Decide
along
if
the way.
I liked my order.
Now, Angie, I'm moving on to number 3 right
Okay.
here. And number 3 is an all-time classic. Going back to when I was a little kid, I absolutely loved this candy bar. I still love it. A little harder to find in my neck of the woods for whatever reason, but you can still find them out there. I will say, unfortunately, a lot of times I've had these the last few times, they've been very hard. You bite into it, and it's a tough snap where it should be a clean snap on a candy bar. You know, you bite into a candy bar, it wants to be a smooth pull off that thing. You don't want to break a tooth trying to break through it. So I don't know if they've messed up with some stuff. Some of these candies over the last few years, don't get me started on the maple nut goodies. I'll go on and on. Brock's, what are we doing? Those old man candies, those maple nut goodies, absolutely my favorite thing. And now you can't even find them anymore. And the last batches were hard as rock. It was like eating rocks. You couldn't even chew it. And I looked online, so many people complaining about it. Then they just like, we're working on it. And then they disappeared. I don't know what happened. But anyways, number 3 for me, Angie, an old favorite, a whatchamacallit. And if you've never had a whatchamacallit, you're missing out. You know about those.
I was trying to read your writing there, and
she was surprised. So
you just said watch, and I was like, what is this?
It's a whatchamacallit, full of like Rice Krispies in there and like chocolate. Oh, it's just a whatchamacallit. I don't know what you call it. You just call it a whatchamacallit. But they have the like flip side of that. Have you seen the other one, like a How's a Do's It or something like that? Oh my
gosh, I think I actually have.
And they're in a red package. Those are nowhere near as good. But the whatchamacallit is a standard, harder to find these days. And unfortunately, the last few times I've had it, been very terrible. So it's probably dropped down my list a little bit over the last couple
That's
years.
probably the first candy bar I ever saw you eat.
Really?
Remember how you got one in the car?
No, but tell us.
No.
You don't want to tell that story?
When we were driving back from Ames, I think.
I said, hold on, I got to pull over. I got to give it a whatchamacallit. And you're like, what is this whatchamacallit all about? I don't know. It is delicious, though. And you like those too, don't you?
Yeah.
You haven't had one in a long time, though, I bet. All right, Angie, we're getting down to the final 2. Now we're at number 2 for you. What are we going to at number 2?
My little baby, Fifth Avenue.
Fifth Avenue. And now, have you ever had one of these before you and I met?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I probably not, because they wouldn't have had it in our...
Yeah.
It's a big city candy bar.
It is. I mean, at Fifth Avenue, we're seeing a theme. Some of these are really easy to get. Fifth Avenue, not easy to find. It's kind of akin to a Butterfinger, but a little bit different.
It's like how a Butterfinger should be on the inside.
Yeah.
The little flaky. Now it's like hard as a rock on the Butterfingers.
Yeah. So Fifth Avenues are really good. They have shrunk the bar down, which is very unfortunate. And I was asking you the other day, have you ever had a king size? And you said, all the time. And I said, no. The king size Fifth Avenue. And then you're like, I think you said you'd never had a king size.
I kind of like the shape of a Fifth Avenue. It is kind of like smaller and...
Get out of here.
You know
you like a thick candy bar full of cream. That's what you like. But Fifth Avenue, the king size, we got to track one of those down. Those are even harder to find, but they are so much better than the regular.
Ugh.
Oh, they're so good.
I need a Fifth Avenue.
I know. We'll just take you on a trip, Angie. Whatever you want, whatever you need, I'll give it to you. That's for sure. But Fifth Avenue coming in at number 2. So delicious. Good. Hard to find, though. Hard to find. But now, Angie, we're at the number 2 for me. Very similar to a Fifth Avenue. And this one everybody's had. It is the Butterfinger, of course. Now, I started loving Butterfinger way back in the day with The Simpsons. Of course, Bart Simpson. Nobody lay a hand on my Butterfinger. That's where I really got into Butterfingers. And always a treat back in the day. Now, love. Now, there's the tale of 2 Butterfingers. You never know what you're going to get because there's nothing better than biting into a Butterfinger where it's soft. It has a nice break. It's soft in the inside. But occasionally, you get it where the inside is hard as a rock. And those are the absolute worst. Absolutely hate that. It goes from being my second favorite candy bar to like my 150th candy bar when it's hard as a rock. You can't get through it. One thing I always hate about Butterfingers, though, is they always get in your teeth and you're sitting there trying to get all that out of your teeth there. But man, oh man, nothing better than a Butterfinger back in the day. Now, they did reformulate Butterfingers like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know if you were aware of that or not. A lot of people flipped out saying they're terrible. They hate them. They're done with Butterfinger. Not me. I liked the reformulation. I thought it was just as good, so I didn't have any issues with it. And for the most part, in the reformulated ones, you don't get as many hard chunks inside. It's a softer, almost dare I say, creamier experience, of course. So love me some Butterfingers, an all-time favorite of mine. Had some ups and downs, but holding solid here at number 2. But now, Angie, we're separating the men from the boys. That's what we're doing here. We're separating the women, like yourself, from the little girls. We're at the number 1 candy bar of all time as voted by Angie. Angie, what is your number 1 candy bar?
I already have regrets because I want to flip.
Oh, to what?
So I put my number 1 as Snickers.
Snickers,
Old Faithful. Which was your number 5.
My number 5.
Crazy.
Okay.
It's the concept of picking one was it's my most eaten.
Oh, she did this wrong.
Because Fifth Avenue is really hard to find, but I think I like Fifth Avenue. I like Fifth Avenue better.
So you want to switch those
two? So Fifth Avenue is like my favorite candy bar, and then.
Well, that's what I was talking about throughout my list here. Is like something.
Yeah,
so
I kind of messed up.
Okay, well,
it's okay.
So Snickers is number 2,
especially Snickers when you kind of get one that's like soft, which only obviously happens in the summertime. Obviously, you don't want it melted, but when it's like soft and it's like.
How do you like a frozen Snickers bar?
I used to like them, but I don't like them anymore. You mean like an actual and then you freeze it?
Yeah.
Or the ice cream bars?
The actual freeze it, not the ice cream bars.
Oh, I've never done that.
So the ice cream bars are okay. I don't hate them. I
used to like them. Now I don't like them anymore.
I'm not a huge ice cream guy, but I like it, but I never crave it. I never crave ice cream like you do. You crave it. I don't. I crave a stick of beef jerky in my mouth. That's what I crave. Give me all the beef.
I crave it less as I'm getting older, though.
Yeah, ice cream? Mm-hmm. And you crave the stick of beef more.
Okay, probably.
Probably. Good for you. Good for you. You're the best. You're the best. But you're going Snickers, number 2, Fifth Avenue, number 1. And now I'm going to number 1, Angie.
Okay.
And number 1, we're seeing things here. We're agreement here.
Oh, we're twinsies.
Yes, we're twins. Fifth Avenue is my absolute favorite candy bar. And it goes back to me as a little kid. After school in elementary, you walk across the street. There was a gas station. I would grab myself a Fifth Avenue. And all was right in the world. All was right in the world. And they were like 25 cents back then. It was cool with the Fifth Avenues too. Snickers and all the name brand stuff was always more expensive. You could get things like a Fifth Avenue a lot cheaper because it wasn't like a name brand thing. So really enjoyed some Fifth Avenues over the years. Still enjoy them to this day. I would love to get a Fifth Avenue Blizzard or something like that, or a concrete mixer at Culver's. I would love to see what could be done with Fifth Avenue and ice cream, but Fifth Avenue just doesn't come across very often. You almost got to go to like a farm and country store too to find those sometimes. Maybe that's what we should check out. But
sometimes when you get it in ice cream, though, it gets cold and hard.
It could. I'll never forget as a kid when you go trick-or-treating too, every once in a while I'd get a Fifth Avenue mixed in with the candy. I'd always be like, oh my gosh, where did they find these fun-sized Fifth Avenues? That's like, it's like finding Bigfoot at the same time. You just never see that kind of stuff there. But a good list, Angie. And it's funny, we're on the same page there. And I think, Angie, one of the reasons you and I work is we're very different individuals that come together. I think if Angie was sitting here listening to heavy metal all day long and collecting action figures, I don't know how well we'd work out together. But Angie, you like, the girly stuff, the hair stuff, and I like the heavy metal stuff and stuff. But we formed together, and our bond here is all signified and brought together by our love of Fifth Avenue. I think that's what keeps us together all these years later is the Fifth Avenue is what keeps us together right here. So an interesting list here. I'd be very interested to hear what you guys think in your list. Put it in the comments of the YouTube or feel free to send it to the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com. But there's a lot of candy bars out there, Angie, and we've seen it. We've seen a million candy bars, and we rocked them all like a young Bon Jovi. And that's the only Bon Jovi talk I'm doing here today.
I can't believe we talked for 20 minutes about candy bars.
Believe it, sister. Believe it, sister. Any last thoughts on candy bars from you?
Other than I just want one.
Okay.
No, I want one.
I'm hopeful for the future of candy bars. What could be the next big candy bar out there? I don't know. Our old favorites are there, but there's got to be. It's been a long time since something swept the nation as a new candy bar. Reese's has tried a lot of different things like Take Fives.
They just need to get back to the basics of their original. It's so gross.
If you would have asked me this question in the 80s, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups would have been at the top of the list. Those things were so good. Now they're just god-awful. Just god-awful. Just disgusting. I like the little mini ones that you put like in a cookie or something. Those are better than the normal ones. But man, Reese's lost their way, and I don't know if they'll ever find their way back. We'll see what happens.
Too many chemicals.
But there it is. I think we've said all that needs to be said about a top 5 list on candy bars. Don't you think, Angie?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to ask you again, anything else? Probably not. No. Probably not. But Angie, now we're going to segue into, it's time, in a very cool plot twist, we're going to try new foods because they might taste good.
Try a little bit of this and a little bit of that. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. We gotta try new food because they might taste good.
All right, Angie, it's time to try new foods because it might taste good. And we know you love some new foods to try here. And Angie, in a perfect segue, you're saying you're dying for a candy bar. We're trying a brand new candy bar here today. But in a plot twist, Angie, we got 2 new things to try, a food and a drink here today, Angie. You excited?
Weren't we just saying how there wasn't any new candy bars out?
Yeah, we were.
And then we got a new candy bar.
That's true. That's true. I guess what I was saying, though, was like a new candy bar.
Like something that will be on the market.
Yeah,
permanent.
like Kyle's Nougat Factory or something like that. We want something new. But obviously what they're doing, just like we see with Oreos, just like we see with Doritos, they're branching off on that popular name to get a new twist. Maybe it'll take, maybe it won't. It's like throwing a dartboard. Maybe you'll get lucky. And as we've said on the channel before, of course, Tales from Retail, 85% of all new items fail. So I don't know if this one's going to make it, but we'll see what ends up happening. But the word of the day is in and out, and Angie loves a little in and out, as we do know. And that's what happens with these items. They're here for a limited time. They go away. Maybe you like them. Maybe they come back seasonally. Maybe they don't come back at all. But Angie, we're going to dive into it. What should we do first? Drink or the candy bar?
I feel like candy bar because we're going to be thirsty.
Okay, we're going to start it off. And Angie, we're going to Butterfinger. Of course, Butterfinger was on my list. Was not on your list, though.
No.
Very strange. But you like a Butterfinger.
But I used to love them. But then I feel like they've gone down.
You're not against them. So we got this brand new Butterfinger we found. It is salted caramel. Crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery, salted caramel. I'm looking from the picture here.
There's no milk chocolate on it. It's fully dipped in salted caramel.
Looks like there's a little salt on it too.
Well,
salted
it'll just
caramel.
be in the caramel. We'll have a salt.
And it is one of these king size bars, so it is 2 separate bars. So we each get our own.
Oh, God.
So that's great. So we don't have to share it like that way. 260 calories. What?
That's going on.
Oh yeah, I know that look. I know that look. So it is usual stuff right here. Part of the Ferrero group who did buy Nestle candy bars, Baby Ruth, Butterfingers and stuff. So we're going to open it up, Angie.
You'd think it'd get better.
That's very caramely. I like the smell. Or is that caramely? What does that smell like?
Oh my God, it kind of smells like your maple nut goodies.
That's what I was just going to say. I know the smell.
There's so many segues.
I was like, I know this smell somewhere. And this is like the Brock's maple nut
Oh my God,
goodies.
you're going to be sad when these are gone. I have a feeling. Look at you.
I'm very excited because I love those maple nut
You're
goodies.
like lit up like a kid on Christmas.
It's an old people candy, but man, oh man, it's just something nostalgic about that. And I would love to get those.
I used to get so excited when I would find a bag for you because you loved them, but we could never find them.
I know.
And then the last 2 years,
Walgreens,
maybe before they discontinued, were horrible.
Horrible. Walgreens used to have them over by our house, so it was always nice. But this just makes me smile with the smell
Do you
alone.
have goosebumps? Do you have
I
chicken
do.
skin?
That's not all I got going. I'm growing, of course. This is amazing, but this.
Smell it again.
Oh my gosh.
It totally is.
That is so nostalgic for
and
me.
even like has like the peanut part of it too. Or
Yeah.
whatever it's on.
Yeah. So this is like a 5 out of 5 just on smell alone. Unbelievable.
You're gonna save the wrapper.
You can take this out
so
of
you
there.
can keep smelling it.
Oh my gosh. This might be the perfect candy bar. And if we get a 5, we're done. We don't need to ever try another candy bar again.
Oh, I kind of just cheated. Because there was a little piece of salted caramel that fell on the desk. I ate it.
I just did the same thing. No dirt on this desk. Get that off the desk, of course.
She's thick too.
Making a mess.
She is thick.
How is the thickness for you? You can take more than that.
I could double it up and take it.
For sure. I've seen it. I've seen it. All right, Angie, I'm ready to try this. I have high hopes for
Your
this.
mouth's watering.
I know it is. It's a 5 on the smellometer right here. 5 out of 5.
You're gonna start gleeking.
I might. All right, you ready? Let's do it.
Okay. Wow.
I can tell you it's not going to be a 5. It's edible.
I think the chocolate pairs better with like offsetting the whatever the inside flavor is. Because it all kind of tastes the same. Like you don't get the salted caramel till like the end and then it kicks back in. Like it just tastes like a Butterfinger and then...
The middle's just Butterfinger, so you know Butterfinger by now.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately for me, mine was one of those hard ones I was talking about, how I don't like them when they're hard. I like them soft. Was yours hard?
Mm-hmm.
Mine's hard too.
I didn't even get through it on my first attempt.
Yeah. I wish it was softer. Man, that would add so much to this one here, but I'm going to do a second bite.
I mean, it's good, but...
Yeah, it's good.
The salted caramel doesn't really balance the Butterfinger. So it's better with chocolate, I think. But that is crazy how
Man,
it
it's
smells
got that
so
smell.
much mapley. Like,
Yeah. I wish it had a more maple taste to it.
yeah, it's weird. It smells like maple, tastes like salted caramel.
Yeah. It's definitely not terrible, though. I mean, I don't know if I would get it again.
We're going to be picking this out of our teeth the whole rest of the
That's
video.
true. But I don't know. It's definitely not a 5, but on a smell alone, it is 100% a 5. What are you going to rate it out of a 5?
I'll give it a 3. It's
3?
good.
I'm in the same boat. 3 out of 5 on me on this one, too. It's worth a try once. It would never be my top 5. It wouldn't be a permanent go-to candy bar for me. I'm glad I tried it, and I just felt like a flash of love come over my whole body. Over my body. I was just growing right here.
Like every time I touch you.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like that. 100%. You summed it up perfectly. I don't need to say any more. But
Oh my God.
3 out of 5 is solid enough, but man, a 5 out of 5 in the smell department. If you like maple nut goodies like me, if you're an 80-year-old man watching this, you probably know all about maple nut goodies. But man, I miss those things, and I need to track those down. I got to be on the lookout, but I haven't seen them anywhere. But Angie, we're not done tasting it here. We got a drink to do here, and we got a Mountain Dew Summer Freeze, cherry, lemon, raspberry, naturally artificial flavor. Basically, a bomb pop Mountain Dew is what this one is. And it's full on dew. It's not that diet dew. It's full on 160 calories. You know it's packed with sugar here.
Right.
0 protein. I can't believe it.
I bet it's like 90% of your daily intake.
Probably
of
43 grams of sugar. Includes
Whoa.
43 grams of added sugar, 87% of your daily value. So this is
That's
absolutely
sick.
out of control.
That is so
You should
weird.
not be drinking this at all. We're doing it for the taste test, and I'm ashamed of myself as a parent for getting these for the kids.
Well, we wanted to get a 0, but they didn't have any.
Yeah, so interesting. Now, Angie, how do you feel about Bomb Pops?
I really liked them as a kid.
Did
but
you? I never liked a Bomb Pop.
I think it's just one of those things as an adult, your like taste change and you kind of grow out of that kind of stuff.
I think we actually have some Bomb Pops in the freezer right now. You want to demonstrate how to eat a Bomb Pop? I think that would be a good video. You could show us all how you do that.
Except they're like sour ones.
Oh yeah, we got
And
the
so
sour.
I'd be like, my eye would be like twitching.
No different though. You go all the way down to the stick, of course, and your eyes start watering a little bit, but it's so sour, of course, but then it's good. And I think there might be something inside those too. I'm not sure, but 160 calories is a lot. So Angie, you're not a big Bomb Pop. You're okay with them. You liked them as a kid. I never liked Bomb Pops. Probably the last thing I'd ever want to choose. I didn't hate the flavor. I don't know.
We didn't get them very often. I like the little flavor ices better.
I prefer, if I'm going to have like an ice cream treat or something like that, I want like the Butterfinger or the Heath. They have those bars and stuff. I like it with a chocolate on the outside or like an ice cream sandwich. I don't like just a straight up popsicle.
Yeah, you're like a chocolate peanut butter guy.
Chocolate peanut butter guy for sure, 100%. I also like Mounds from time to time as well. But Angie, we're going to dive into this Mountain Dew. But I guess before we get here, what's your history with Mountain Dew? What do you feel about Mountain Dew?
We do not mix.
You never liked Mountain Dew?
The full throttle one
Yeah.
it makes my eyeballs shake.
Mhm.
And then I think the diets taste like chemicals.
So you're not going to drink this whole can?
Uh-oh.
No. So I have a different feel on Mountain Dew. When I was a kid, in my teenage years, I was fueled on Mountain Dew 24/7. I've told the stories before. I was a working man from an early age, and with that, living at home, I didn't have to pay rent. Thanks, Dad, for not making me pay rent as a kid. But I went one deeper. I'm working. I'm basically working full time, going to high school and stuff, and living at home as one does. And I went all in. I said, you know what? I want Mountain Dew. And I would go to Sam's Club and I would buy cases of Mountain Dew. So in my room, cases piled up high. And I also bought beef jerky. I'd have these like those round plastic tubs with all the sticks inside there.
Your room smelled great.
It smelled great. The ladies loved it. I just wish I knew you back then. You would have just loved it in there. But I had stacks of that in there. And I also had DirecTV just for my house so I could watch ECW wrestling. I wanted to watch ECW.
So cool.
I was the coolest kid on the block. There's no doubt about it, for sure. But I was all in on the Mountain Dew. I loved Mountain Dew. But somewhere when I hit college, I couldn't drink regular Mountain Dew anymore. It's just too much for me. It's too syrupy. It just doesn't work. But Angie, I do like a what?
Diet Dew.
A Diet Dew. I do like a Diet Dew. So if I'm going to get pop soda, what is it? I call it pop. You call it pop as well, probably. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get a Diet Mountain Dew. That's what I would drink. I'm usually a white Monster guy, but I will mix in the Diet Mountain Dew as well. I also love Coke, regular Coke, not Diet Coke, none of that, regular Coke. But I told myself I can't have it in the house. If I have it in the house, I'll drink it. So I don't buy it anymore. And I'll get it at a restaurant if they don't have Diet Mountain Dew every once in a while. But I need like a Diet Dew or a Coke to just get my food down when I'm eating. That's a whole nother problem. I just choke and die. I can't, water won't move food through my system. I don't understand it. It has to be something carbonated to break that food down and get it down. Doctor problem. We can call Dr. Phil or somebody. I don't know. But
I never even was really allowed pop growing up. We had like Diet 7-Up. But otherwise, we drank water and milk with all our meals.
Nobody wants Diet 7. That's the worst thing. No wonder you didn't. We had a rule.
Healthy bones and I'm strong.
I guess. We had a rule at my house is you could have one a day. So my dad would buy Coke or Mountain Dew or whatever, and you could have one a day. That was it. So that was the hard, fast rule once upon a time in my childhood. But I've dabbled in a lot of dews. I've tried about every single dew over the years, but nothing really sticks.
You're drinking
like
a dew now?
The Diet Dew for sure is the one to go with there. So now we're going to try this Bomb Pop one. And Angie, it's ladies first. I'm going to let you have the first
No, you do it because
sip.
you're weird about it.
I'm not weird about it with you.
Oh, okay.
I don't like backwash
Kyle doesn't
off
like
people.
sharing drinks.
I don't like sharing drinks, but I'll share it with you. I'll swap some spit with you. What do you think? What's the flavor? What's the taste? I guess I gotta go too.
I feel like stuff like that's flavored in that way, it always ends up tasting flat to me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very
when
chemically.
you mix so many flavors together, and it's blue. It comes out blue.
Comes out blue.
You're gonna have a Smurf tongue.
Smurf tongue. It comes out blue.
It just does absolutely nothing for me. It doesn't even taste good to me. It tastes like a flat.
You would say it's not worth the calories, is what you would say.
It's like if you get like an icy, and then that last little sip you get when it's all melted.
It does taste like that.
That's
You're exactly what it is. I'm not an icy guy. Surprise, surprise. But it exactly tastes when there's barely anything left on the icy and it's basically melted down. You get that last little suck out of the straw. That's what it tastes like. And I think this is one of those ones that the colder it is, the better it tastes too, because it gives you that taste to it there. It's fairly cold here. It's been sitting out of the refrigerator since we started here, but I don't know. I would never buy this again. This isn't for me.
I was seeing if my tongue was blue already.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's blue. It's blue tongue. We'll get that cleaned up a little bit later for sure. We'll get that off there. I know just the way. I'll tell you how. But I would never buy this again. You would never buy this again either.
No.
I think it's an in and out. It's a summertime kind of drink. This isn't something you want to drink in the dead of the winter, I don't think either. What are you going to rate it out of 5?
I'm just going to give it a 1.
1. I'm going to 1 too. So not really definitely not worth the calories. If it was 0 calorie, I'd say, okay, maybe that's a little bit better. But 160 calories, that's a lot.
And all that sugar. Like we probably just
sugar.
Took in like 10 grams of sugar in those little drinks. That's gross. Not
worth
it.
Not worth it at all. So not the best.
Moment on your lips, forever on your hips.
There you go, Angie. There you go. I love those. And you know what? Your hips just don't lie. I've been told. I've seen it in action. That's for sure. But Angie, and interesting, a tale of two things. The highest of highs, the lowest of lows, but just kind of settling in the middle is what this one was right here.
Very sugary.
But that is some new foods. It'll be interesting next week, Gauge Octane. I don't know if we'll do this segment. This is kind of you and I's thing, but we'll see what ends up happening. I don't
what
think
could
so.
you guys talk about? Maybe you could just talk about your favorite food.
We got a lot more things to talk about than that. We'll save this for you when you get back. And who knows, Angie's going to Philadelphia. Maybe she'll bring back a cheesesteak in her luggage for me. That would be amazing. And just wrap it so it doesn't get dirty.
I could stop by customs or whatever, whoever stops you.
Yeah, maybe.
You're not allowed to have any food.
Maybe. Well, there it is, Angie. It's time to try new foods, and we did it. But now, guess what it's time for? It's time for the album of the week. It's time for one of your favorite segments. It's time for the album of the week, or AKA Angie, maybe nap time a little bit here. But Angie, we're diving into it here with the album of the week, and this came out the week of my birthday. Coincidence? I think not. I think not. But I have spent some time with this album. I've listened to it probably 5 times now. And it's good. It's solid. Is it the best? Probably not. What are we talking about here? The Manticore tapes from Motorhead, fresh off the driveway, I guess, from Amazon is what that was.
Fresh off the line.
But it is the Manticore tapes. And the historical significance of this one kind of outweighs the listenableness to this one. As this was the first time the classic lineup of Motorhead ever got together in the studios. They put together, I guess, a demo is what we'll call it, a demo album here. We've heard all these songs from Motorhead. We heard them on their first official release, but this is their first run through in the studios, the first time they ever came together with the classic group of Motorhead here. So the historical significance outweighs the quality and all that kind of stuff of this. Now, nice deluxe booklet with this one CD track, of course. And as I said, we've heard all of these songs, alternate takes. Some songs a little bit rougher in quality-wise than other ones there. We do got an intro. I guess I'll run down the track list real quick. Intro, Leaving Here, a classic. Angie, your all-time favorite song, the Vibrator song, of course. Help Keep Us on the Road, one of my all-time favorite Motorhead songs. The Watcher. Of course, the classic song Motorhead. I always say if you are a heavy metal band, you should have a song named after your band. So Motorhead sings Motorhead. Iron Maiden sings Iron Maiden. Night Demon, shout out to the boys in Night Demon. Pick up the brand new figure and box set right now. They got a song, Night Demon. Song Motorhead is amazing. Definitely worth checking out. Got Witch Doctor in here. Iron Horse, Born to Lose. Of course, Born to Lose, Live to Win, Lemmy's motto, as we know. Leave in here, again on here, an alternate take. Vibrator, once again, an alternate take right there. Take 2 with the old Vibrator. And then the Watcher, alternate take. So I'm here for all these songs. Very cool. Nice deluxe package here. They have vinyls. They have everything else going on. But I love me some Motorhead. And it's a very controversial things like this being released here because there's a lot of people out there said, Lemmy's dead. He wouldn't want this. He wouldn't have signed off on this. I guess you never know either way. Would he have or wouldn't he have? Mm-hmm. To me, I personally love all the live stuff, the stuff that comes out, because it feels like Motorhead's still here. It feels like we're still getting stuff. So I like that. I don't want Motorhead to just never release anything ever again. That just, I don't know. It feels like they're still here. He's still here when things like this come out. And there's been a lot of live albums, been a lot of live stuff over the last couple of years. Still waiting for Lemmy's solo album. He had that thing done before he died. Would love to see that officially be released. They've been hinting at it. Hopefully it happens sooner rather than later. But give me all the Motorhead. Give me the albums. Give me the live stuff. Angie, personally, I would love to see them release the Motorhead Cruise live shows. I think that would be really fun. I would love it if they could do a box set of that. Captain Lemmy on the Seven Seas, that was an all-timer of an experience. And we went on the Motorhead Cruise 2 times, and a lot of fun out there. Would love to hear those sets eventually. I do actually have the vinyl album of that. We should hang that in the house somewhere. Maybe one of these days we will. But there it is, the Manticore tapes, brand new from Motorhead. Old re-release, whatever you want to call it. But it is new Motorhead through the door this week. That is the album of the week. But Angie, now we segue to your second favorite segment. We segue to the figure of the week. All right, Angie, it's time for Figure of the Week. And this week is an interesting one. I don't know if you know anything about this, what I'm going to talk about. So, Angie, the best thing, you said, I'll do this podcast with you if you guarantee I can learn something new in every single video. And we've been just tracking that on. Angie's learning a lot
I
here
haven't
today.
retained any of it, though.
Haven't retained it, but she's learned a lot of stuff. And Angie, I got a little bit of a Western wear on here today.
I got you that shirt.
Angie got me this for my birthday, but this is kind of a perfect one to wear here today, as it's got the tassels on it, which reminds me of a young Ozzy Osbourne. You know Ozzy Osbourne, of course. And Ozzy is right here on the table. Of course, my table figure this week. But the figure of the week, or maybe we'll call it statue of the week, it is Knucklebone's statue. It is the god himself. It is Tony Iommi. Of course, Tony Iommi, Ozzy Osbourne. You add Bill Ward in the mix, get a little Geezer Butler, some Ronnie James Dio, maybe some Vinny Appice, maybe a little bit of Tony Martin. I don't know if that's crazy, but long story short, it is the band Black Sabbath. And right now, Angie, as we're filming this, Black Sabbath has an all-day concert for their final ever performance in Birmingham, England. A huge metal festival with all the bands over there. Metallica, Anthrax, Guns N' Roses, Lamb of God, Mastodon, you name it. A who's who of heavy metal outside of Judas Priest. They're with the Scorpions for Scorpions' their 60th anniversary show over in Germany right now. But
your dream.
I know. Scorpions, I need to see.
Transport you to
It's
Europe
like the
right
one
now.
band I've never got to see live in concert that I want to. And I've seen Black Sabbath numerous times. I saw the reunion. I saw probably the greatest show I ever saw was Ozfest 2004 with Judas Priest reuniting with Rob Halford and the original Black Sabbath lineup. So I did get to see that. I was blown away as a young man, that's for sure. And then I did see Black Sabbath on their last tour they did together, of course. Unfortunately, Bill Ward was not a part of that along the way. I've had tickets for Ozzy like 10 times in my life. He had canceled all 10 of those shows over like a 20-year span. I never got to see Ozzy solo. Just heartbreak and disappointment. Especially that time, Minnesota, it was going to be Ozzy with Halford opening up solo. I was so excited for that. Got canceled because of snow. Never rescheduled. Just hard times, disappointment if there ever was one. But the god, Tony Iommi here, Ozzy, we're celebrating Black Sabbath. It is the end of them. Of course, Ozzy is, man, it's tough. I don't know what's going to happen there. Nobody really knows for sure. And as I'm watching, or you're watching this, or no, as I'm recording this, how about, Angie? Nobody knows what's going to happen. I don't know if Ozzy's going to be able to pull out a lot of songs. Hopefully he could do a song or two. But everybody play in tribute to Black Sabbath one last time. Bill Ward's going to be on drums. That's absolutely amazing. So I do think this will be the last hurrah. But I even heard like Tony Iommi the other day saying, well, you never know. You never know. And I guess you never know when it could be over. You never know, I guess. But I'm all about Black Sabbath, one of the greatest bands ever. I'll never forget getting into Black Sabbath as a very little kid. Still love them to this day. But all-time greats. So there's not really any bad Black Sabbath. Even the Tony Martin stuff I was talking about earlier. Now, I know it's very controversial. Love Ozzy. I love Ozzy. I absolutely love Ozzy. I also love Ronnie James Dio. And Dio's Sabbath, especially those 2 albums, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, man, oh man, I know it's a controversial opinion, but a lot of people say it's nowhere near as good as Ozzy or No. A lot of team camps. I like both, but man, those Dio ones, if you've never heard those 2 albums, do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor, right, Angie?
Yep.
You know all about the Mob Rules, and you know what happens when you listen to Fools.
Yeah, I forget.
The Mob Rules, of course. There you go. Putting Angie on the spot there. But our figure statue of the week, once again, is Knucklebones. This is Tony Iommi. This is long out of print. Just beautiful. Had to represent Tony Iommi in the collection here. Playing away there. And do you notice those fingertips right there?
I'm missing.
Yeah. You know what happened to that?
No.
So Tony, working in the steel factory, of course, Birmingham back in the day, he was just getting ready to sign his first album. And he was working, doing his last shift. And I don't know if he was trying to hurry his way through or whatever, but lost the fingertips along the way. So how bad is that? So he just taped on like one of those things that people sew with. You know, when you're sewing, you protect your thumb. I don't know what they're called. They're in Monopoly, I know. They're, what is that? Thistle? Thimble. There we go. So he like kind of did that. And then later years, I think it was like dish soap, like dish soap container. He like molded the plastic around there.
Oh my gosh, you think somebody could have made him?
And I think he's got some prosthetics made, but it's amazing. And I think that is part of his sound. That's part of why he sounds so good, because of all that. He sounds different. And just the thing I love about Tony Iommi on guitar is none of his guitar stuff is super difficult to play. There's nothing better when you're first starting to play guitar and you just blast into Paranoid or something like that. And it's really easy to play. But it's him making it his own with his own feel and everything. And sometimes I think the simplest things are better than the Yngwie Malmsteen type stuff where he's just running up and down that fretboard. Something special about just simplicity and stuff like that. So there you go. That is the figure, aka statue of the week, Knucklebones, Tony Iommi. So how about that, Angie?
Does he usually play with his eyes closed?
If you're a real guitarist, you play with your eyes closed all the time. There's no doubt about it. You keep this going.
Feel.
You just feel it. You feel it. And that's, I'm feeling like Ozzy, because Ozzy used to wear something like this back in the 70s all the time with the fringe. So just looking good and feeling good too today, Angie. That's what we're doing. But we're not done with this podcast. We're keeping on going. Angie, it's time for Story Time with Kyle. All right, Angie's settled in. She's ready for a good old story, Angie. Yes. Let me tell you about a great story once upon a time. And I've probably told you this story before.
Little get it bad. Daddy, tell me a story.
Yeah, Daddy will tell you a story later, that's for sure. But we're going to dive into this story here from my college years, Angie. It's kind of like Saved by the Bell, the college years. You ever watch that show?
Yes.
Saved by the Bell, college years? Oh, good for you. I loved that show. And it was so hard to find for a while.
What was her name? Leah Rem?
No, she wasn't in that. She was in the beach episodes where they went to the beach and they worked that summer. But the college years were a little bit different, but also similar. But we'll watch those later on there. But my college years very similar to Saved by the Bell college years as well, of course. But I was in college, and guess what? Kyle hated school. I hated school my entire life. I never enjoyed going to school. I didn't want to do it. I thought school was a waste of time, and I work all the time. And everybody's like, but Kyle, how do you not like go to school, but you'll go to work and you'll work all these hours and stuff? Well, it's pretty simple. At the end of the day, what? I get paid to work. I didn't get paid to go to school, but obviously schooling helps you. You know, you get your degree and all that kind of stuff. It opens up doors for you. I'm never going to be the person that says you better have a degree and you better go on to that, because there's a lot of smart people that don't have degrees. A lot of people are smarter than me that have degrees or don't have degrees as well. And I really, truly believe a degree really only means something if you're like a doctor or maybe like an engineer or something like really important. Not that what I do every day is not important. Of course, I'm feeding the world every single day. Just feeding everybody, including you. But a degree doesn't mean a whole lot, I don't think.
Especially these days. Yeah,
it's nice to have, but it does show, and I remember my dad telling me that too. It shows that you put your mind to something and you complete it in a certain amount of time. And that shows people that, hey, this guy has dedication to him. He did take that next step to get that done. So it makes sense. It is what it is. I'm not turning my degree back, that's for sure. But a degree isn't something I feel you really got to have. But it helps. It helps. It's probably better to have one than not have one, I guess, at the end of the day. I guess. I don't know. But I was in college, and of course, I hated going to college classes. And one thing I always tell you, I'm consistent. I might not have had the best grades, and we're going to tell that German class story. That's an all-timer. We're going to bring you into old Miss Rectanus. Yes, that was her name, and we'll tell you that whole story one day. But I had to take classes, and I usually looked for what's the easiest classes I could take to get myself through this college experience here. And one of these classes, I think it was like biology or like, I don't know, outdoor biology or whatever it was, but it was a science class. And I remember it being like a summertime because I took summer classes throughout the years of college. I never took time off. A lot of people had summer off. I would always take 2 or 3 classes every single summer because I worked full time through college. So I would take that one less class each semester. So then I would make those classes up in the summer because I was working full time. So I had to do that. But in the summer, I remember the cool thing about summer classes were most of the time they met once a week, but it was an all day once a week. So you take the good, you take the bad, and then you have the facts of life, of course. But I took this science class, and it was your traditional science room here. You know, you're sitting at a table kind of like this. There would be 2 stools here. You were sitting by somebody or whatever. You'd have a sink here. You'd have all this kind of stuff. You know, it was a traditional, chemistry room, whatever, science room there. And I remember it was a hot summer day. It was a hot summer. And it was like 100 degrees out. And when it gets really hot, you're tired. The day is long. You probably stayed up late the night before. You're sitting there, and I'm doing one of those. I'm starting to nod off. And one thing that always kept me awake in school, and I don't do this very often anymore, but I used to chew gum all the time. I rarely chew gum anymore. Very, very rarely. But I used to in school a lot because you were allowed to. And it would keep me up. It would keep me up on those long class days there. But I'll never forget, I'm kind of dozing off. It's hot, it's boring. Obviously, you're in school, and it's science, double boring right there. And I'm sitting there in the stool, and I had gum, and I was chewing on the gum, and I had the gum wrapper. You're bored, you're fidgeting around with it. I'm folding it up, I'm twisting it, doing all that kind of stuff. And I remember, clear as day, I was just doing one of these. I'm sitting here just kind of zoning out.
Not enough.
And then right in front of us, since it's a whole thing, there was an outlet. An electrical outlet right here. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like not paying attention. I have this in my hand and I remember just putting it right into the electric outlet. It was one of those silver wrappers. Yeah. This is one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. And I don't know why I'm telling this. But I'm like halfway asleep. I stick it in there and it goes bzz, bzz, and a big cloud of smoke, black smoke comes out of it. And I ruined the outlet and black smoke comes out. It made a spark and a noise and all this. And of course, everybody in the class was like, what? What the heck? The teacher comes over. It was a whole fiasco. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know. But I was just such in a daze, not paying attention, just kind of out there. And I guess, I know you're not going to stick a fork in there. You're not going to stick metal in there. But that silver wrapper did the same kind of thing there. And just being kind of in a daze and all that, I'll never forget it. But I remember hitting it, hearing that zap, seeing that little bit of flame, and then this black smoke. It was kind of like the smoke of a nuclear bomb, that kind of mushroom cloud that goes up, but in a much smaller thing. It was like just and everybody just looking at me and being so embarrassed there. I don't remember if I really got in trouble. It's not like they asked me to leave or anything like that, but man, oh man, was that embarrassing. One of the most embarrassing moments of my life because you upset the class and got everybody to notice you. But then second off, are you that dumb? We're in science class. Are you that dumb that you stuck that in there? What are you doing? But you know me, Angie, I'm always trying to plug every single hole I can find. Every single one of those, I'm trying to plug it. You can contest to that. You know how it works. And no different there in the outlet right in front of me.
So did anybody find out you did that?
Yeah, everybody saw. Everybody turned.
No, I mean, did they know why it happened?
No, I didn't sit there and tell everybody. I wish they would have said, Mr. Peterson, come up and tell us about what you did here. I would have told the whole story. And then maybe I wouldn't have been so ashamed out there. But I think everybody kind of looked down at me from that day on in that science class. God. Hard times. You ever
they said that guy's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's what they said. Maybe they were right. Maybe they were wrong. Who knows? But did you ever have any crazy stuff like that your time in school or anything? Did you ever do anything stupid?
I'm sure.
You like streaking through the auditorium probably, things like that, I'm sure.
I got depantsed in the lunch line.
Oh, nobody likes to be depantsed. And we know about you, no underwear. So
I probably did it.
You had to back then?
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you if I had underwear on or not.
You're not shy though, so it's like you'd be like, "Oh, funny guys, I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna leave these pants down all day long."
It wasn't like I was getting picked on,
No.
like not in like a mean. They weren't like bullying me. They were like,
"No, you rule the roost out there." I can only imagine. I've seen your community. I've seen your schools. I know you rule the roost out there, but I'm sure you sold it off. You played it off legit for sure, knowing you. But anything else come to mind? Nothing. I got stories for days, and I'll save them for another day. Is what I'm going to do there, because I got another story which kind of segues into what Angie was just saying there. It's time for a double dose of story time with Kyle, but this time we're going to Tales from Retail. All right, Angie, it's time for Tales from Retail, an all-time favorite here on the channel here, where I dive into my decades of retail experience for some crazy stories. And this one popped into my head this week as I was hitting a lot of Walmarts. And Angie, you were hitting these Walmarts a lot with me this week as well, trying to find the new wrestling shipper, SummerSlam shipper for you toy collectors out there, trying to track that bad boy down. So I was in and out of a lot of Walmarts. I was in and out of a lot of things this week, multiple times a day, some may say. But I was running back and forth, and I went to one of the Walmarts where many, many years ago, once upon a time, when I was a young sales rep for the Nabisco Corporation of all things, I was the sales rep for this Walmart store, and I ruled this Walmart with an iron fist. And I always tell people about the day, you know, Kyle had 35 displays in the stores for the holiday. Unheard of. Now you're lucky to see 1 or 2 displays from these companies. I had 35 at one time. No big deal. I was the #1 Nabisco rep of all time, or for the year in 2007. The whole United States, #1 right here. You're looking at him. And there's no doubt about that, of course. Hustled. And that year helped me get promoted into where I am now all these years later. Different company, though, of course. But a lot of crazy stuff at this Walmart is, I wouldn't say this is like a terrible Walmart, but it's not the like greatest clientele
it's
Walmart.
middle of the road, yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about. So it's middle of the road. It's rougher. And it's actually in a better neighborhood than the clientele that it brings.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing how that works, where there is a badder part of town where the clientele is a little bit better. So it's like the more poor people, the poors, is that what we're going to say? They go to the fancy Walmart, and then the more uppity people, they go to the non-fancy one.
Well,
it's weird.
It's linked to a Sam's Club, so I think the fancier people go to Sam's. And
that could be too. So who knows what's going on there? But this Walmart was always crazy, and there was a lot of shenanigans. And actually, this is the Walmart, I think it was the first ever episode of the Kyle Peterson Show podcast where I told about my tablet from work getting stolen, my laptop. And same store. Go figure. Go figure with this store. But what reminded me of this week is I'm sitting in the parking lot. You know, I'm getting ready to go in there and all this stuff, turning the car off and all that. But I look in front of me and there's a car parked in front of me. I'm looking at it and the whole front end is crushed in, like crushed. There's no license plate. The headlights are crushed. The hood is bent back like somebody rolled it back. I mean, just a hot mess. The windshield's cracked, all this kind of stuff. And there's a couple sitting in there in the front right in front of me. And this is about 7:30 in the morning. So it's early in the Walmart parking lot. And I think maybe they spent the night there is what I think has happened in there. And the guy was awake. He was sitting there just like, just going like this kind of back and forth in his seat. But then he had a girl next to him. It was like Bizarro World Angie and Kyle is what it was. Really Bizarro World. But I'm pretty sure they had a whole night fueled on drugs, I think is what was going on. Is she was like tweaking out. She was like this. And she just...
They probably had
doing the shakes.
If they were doing
stuff.
that, they just took a hit.
I don't know, but
So
she was just like
hit.
convulsing and doing weird stuff. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I went in and of course didn't find any wrestling figures. I came back out and she had opened the door because it was like 100 degrees at like 7:30. He was still chilling in there, but she had the door open now and she was like kind of hanging halfway out. I don't know what was going on, but it was a part of a scene I didn't want any part of. I knew that. I didn't want any part of that, of course. But this story reminded me, I was like, oh, I forgot about that one morning. Now, way back in the day when I was a sales rep, Angie, I used to get up at 4 a.m. every single morning. I was in that store by 4:45 because I had a guy that merchandised for me, old Al. And we'll tell some Al stories along the way. Al, we always had a bet, whoever was late. If you were late, you had to buy breakfast. And you think I ever bought one breakfast? I never bought a breakfast. Never bought a breakfast. And I always tell Al, because Al bought me 100 breakfasts at least. And he'd be like 3 minutes late. Breakfast. And I was just thinking to myself the whole time, if you know you're going to be late, why not be an hour late? You're still buying the breakfast, but at least you can be off. But long story short, but One of these mornings here, I'm in there at 4:45, and you loved it when I used to get up early like that, I'm sure. Now the plot's changed. Angie's up. Angie gets up really early every morning. She gets a cup of coffee, but then she comes back into bed and drinks her coffee and sits there on her phone, and you hear the reels and stuff.
No, I have it on silent.
Oh, not all the time.
And then it's all the way dimmed.
And I always end up waking up, and I look over, and there she is. And what do I always say to you every time I wake up?
What time?
What time is it? What time is it? I'm always worried I'm sleeping in or something. And I rarely, and strangely enough, I slept until 8:51 this morning. I can't believe it.
It's beautiful.
And it's a Saturday as we're filming this, so I deserve to sleep in, but I couldn't believe I slept in that long. But usually I'm just like so scared. I immediately check my phone like, oh my gosh, disaster happened in the middle of the night. Is there anything I have to take care of? Thankfully not lately, fingers crossed. But I used to get up and I was there by 4:45 every morning. And Walmart's 24/7 back then, of course. And you never know what you were walking into, of course, at Walmart at the end of the day, of the morning. You know, the crazy people come out at night, and there's some truth to that there. And I'll never forget one day, I'm just sitting there in the aisle, and I'm filling the crackers or whatever. I'm filling there. And all of a sudden, I look over to my side. You just happen to be filling, and you look over to the side, and you see some white lightning going, like a young George Jones. I see a streak go by me, and it's not just a streak of light. It was a guy fully nude in the Walmart running around. And I looked and I saw him run by, and I'm like, did I just see what I think I saw? Did I just see that?
It's crazy that none of that happens anymore now that we can record everything.
Oh, I think it still happens.
I never see stuff like that.
Yeah, there's stuff like that. Well, this guy, obviously, I talked about those people tweaking out in the car. This guy was part of that same kind of thing, just 20 years earlier.
Like, and this is why it's not 24 hours anymore.
Yeah, this is why it's not 24 hours. One night, Angie and I went there, and there was a guy that got a 40 ounce knocked over his head, and one of the greeters, and the guy stole it all. I'll never forget that. It was a Friday night too. But this guy was streaking by, and I'm like, what the heck? And I was like, did I see things? So I go down the aisle and I look, and then there's all these Walmart guys running, and I didn't see the guy anymore because he's dead sprint throughout Walmart. And this is like 4:45 in the morning, so it's not super busy in there. It's not like you're dangling around people. And he was dangling, that's for sure.
Oh my God.
But he was running around. He was not dangling the way you like it, though, that's for sure. It was just, you barely see it, that's for sure. But he was sprinting around the store, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then I'm sitting there watching. I saw the Walmart guys kind of going around the front registers and stuff. So they turned the corner. I'm like, I'm not running all the way down there. I don't need to see a naked guy. It's just, I don't know. If it was a chick, maybe I'd follow it around a little bit. And, but all of a sudden, I'm turning. I'm like looking down here. And I turn around to go back. And what do I see? Here's another one. They call them action alleys at Walmart. That's kind of the pathways. And I see coming from the baby side, here he comes, full force, running, dangling, flip-flopping, and flying around. And the Walmart guys are chasing right after him. And then what ended up happening is one of the other Walmart backroom guys comes out, and he gave him an old-school Monty Brown pounce. He just pounced him right there. He went flying onto the ground, and then they just kind of subdued him right there, which I'm just like, oh, my gosh, I wouldn't want anything to do with that naked guy. Cops were there. The cop precinct, whatever you call it, was around the corner, so it didn't take them long to get here. But the guy was just out of his mind, and apparently he was over there in like the fitting rooms trying on clothes. This is the story I got from the Walmart guy I knew in the back room, that he was trying on clothes and stuff, and just took his clothes all off and decided he was going to sprint throughout the store, and he was not there. They said he was just on another planet. Who knows what was going on? But just running around like a crazy person.
Did he have shoes on?
No, he didn't have anything on. He was just totally, it was the weirdest thing. I don't think I've ever seen a streaker before live. Have you? Have you ever seen one?
Other than myself.
Other than yourself? That was right the other day in the backyard. We already told that story. I don't think so. But I don't know. I think that was the only time I ever saw that. And unfortunately, it was a guy. That sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
That does suck. We wish it was a chick. But it was a wild thing. It was just one of those weird things at Walmart. There was a lot of that kind of weird stuff, too, that, there's crazy stuff. I'm sure, I have good tales from retail, but, man, I can only imagine somebody that lived in the mines of Walmart for like 30 years. And if it was like one of those suspect Walmarts, I'm sure they got stories to tell for sure. So I don't know, but it was a wild morning. I didn't know what I was seeing. I didn't know what I was thinking. I didn't know if I was still dreaming. But, man, he was flipping around, flopping around all over the place. It was a wild, wild time. So there it is, another Tales from Retail. Angie, you got anything to add? You want any questions about that?
I saw one naked butt at work one time.
Oh, my goodness. How did that happen?
Somebody mooned me.
Somebody mooned you. Oh, my gosh. Full moon out there.
He was mad at me.
And he was mad?
He was mad, and on the way out, he's like...
Was he?
I thought he was just going to take a poop on the floor.
Was it an old man? Was he old, attractive?
Probably 50s, no.
No.
Not cute.
knowing Angie, I bet you laughed.
I did laugh.
You just started laughing. Were you all by yourself?
I'm the worst. When people yell at me, I'm one of those people that like smiles and then they make some more mad. So I really got to try to contain that.
It's terrible.
I always do one of these. Like, yeah.
Terrible. Hard times.
Hard times.
Yep. Streaking and mooning. That's all it goes down to. So there it is, Angie. That's the little Tales from Retail. Now we got to sum it up with some final thoughts. All right, Angie, time for some final thoughts and, of course, question of the week as well. And if you want to be the question of the week, stick it in the comments down here or email the KylePetersonShow@gmail.com. Put question of the week in there. But do got to give a little shout out there, a little birthday shout out, Angie. You and I had a birthday just recently, over the last couple of weeks here, I guess we'll call it. First, we got to thank our good friend right here. We did get a card and a note from each of us here. Of course, we did get Greg DiStefano. DiStefano. That's what I like. I like DiStefano. But we did get a nice message from Greg, longtime viewer of the channel. Always appreciate people thinking of us. And Angie was very thankful to get a card in the mail.
Yeah, it was so nice.
It is nice. So thank you there. And then Adam Hooper, he reached out to me, of course, Patreon member, Salt of the Earth. He didn't give anything to you because he likes me more. He said I was the best part of the podcast for sure. But he sent me a nice gift too. So shout out to him as well. Check out those reviews on the channel. So kudos to everybody out there. But Angie, it is time to get down to the question of the week. I'm going to have it. I have it on my phone right here. You haven't read this, but you can read it.
Okay.
You can read it.
Jonathan Hodap 8735. My question is, have you seen Killer Clowns in Outer Space? If so, what's your rating?
Well, I'm going to rate it out of 5 here. Now, of course, I've seen this. I saw it as a kid. I've seen it numerous times. We also did on the channel the Killer Clowns from Outer Space unboxing of the movie figures here from, I believe, Trick or Treat Studios. Yes. Yeah. Love the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. As a little kid, it was a lot creepier than it is now, but there was something, it was just a strange movie. Didn't know what I was watching, but it really is a fun movie. Now, it didn't do very well at the box office. It wasn't a very successful movie, but I think there's a lot of nostalgia for it over the years. Now, Angie, have you seen this movie?
I don't think I have seen it.
I don't think you have. Now, my kids, Elle and Emma, you know, when you're trying to introduce them into some horror movies and stuff, that's a pretty good one to start with. And Emma is a big fan. Does she still have those in her room?
I doubt it.
I don't know. She had those figures in her room. I unboxed those and she wanted them so bad, so she had them in her room. We're going to spot check that after this. I want to see if they're in there. I think they're still in there.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I've seen them. I think she enjoyed that movie. So I really did enjoy Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's a good one. It's my kind of movie though, Angie, where I don't have to think. You know me. I want to turn off my brain when I watch stuff, and that's right in that wheelhouse there. So you've never watched it. You can't rate it, but I'm going to give it a 10 out of 5. That's what I'm going to give it. No. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. It's not the best movie ever, but it's worth a watch one time. It's so crazy. It's fun. Something special about that. You don't get movies like that anymore. You would see the box art at the video store and things. There's just a lot to it. Where nowadays, those movies like that, they're on Sci-Fi Network, they're on Shudder, they're just kind of come and forgot. And just none of that playground talk about something like that, at least as I know. But I don't head around a lot of playgrounds because I'm banned from all the playgrounds in my county. maybe not. But I do love Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
You and your white van.
Me and my white van, that's true. But Angie, one day we'll watch that movie with you. We can try a full review, maybe, possibly. We'll see what happens there. But that's it. That's episode number 15. Of course, make sure you review this video, channel, podcast, you name it. Give it a 5-star rating. And of course, if you do get a 5-star rating, screenshot it, email to the KylePetersonShow@gmail.com, and we will read your review on the air. So make sure you do that. And of course, DJC Collectibles, shout out to them. Use discount code 8OFFDJC. Thank you to them for sponsoring this very episode of the podcast. And if you want to be a podcast sponsor, once again, the KylePetersonShow@gmail.com. And unfortunately, we're going to say adieu to Angie. So next week, we're not sure what we're going to get ourselves into next week. But Angie, you will definitely be missed. We will miss you. I still got a couple days left with you until you do fly away. Hopefully you don't fly away forever. And if you're in Philadelphia the next week or so, next 10 days, 7 days, look her up. She's ready for a good time out there, I think. She's ready to get, if you put a Philly cheesesteak in her, take her to the Rocky Steps, maybe a Phillies game, and then show her around the ECW arena, she'll be your best friend. Yeah, something like that.
Put a beer in me?
Yeah, beer too. That's two. So there it is. But Angie will miss you. But we'll see what happens next week on the show. So make sure you check it out, of course. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you follow on Patreon if you want early access to all the videos on the channel. All kinds of stuff. As a Patreon member, you do get that. And best of all, you do support Angie with that Patreon membership. So appreciate all the support out there. So for episode number 15, Angie, any final words from you?
We did it.
Do you want to say goodbye to everybody? Yeah, thanks. Thanks, man. It's good to see you. Yeah, jeez. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Just amazing, amazing. But Angie, you have any final thoughts? Because you could die in a plane accident. You might want to say goodbyes to everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
It was real.
Love you.
It was
It's been
real. There you go. So episode 15 for Angie. I'm Kyle. We'll see you guys all real soon.
Are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?
We're going to the end of the line.